Good afternoon, everyone. I am Emily Bull, DRI's Marketing Director, and I will be moderating today's SureShip webinar. Before I introduce our presenters, I wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. All of our attendees are muted as you enter the webinar. We expect the presentation itself to be about 30 to 45 minutes, and time permitting, we will open the floor for a live Q&A at the end of the live presentation. If you'd like to ask a question, and we encourage you to do so, you can do that by typing and submitting your question in the question tab of your GoToWebinar toolbar. And you are welcome to submit a question at any time throughout the live presentation. We'll address them at the end, and if we don't have time to respond to your question during the session, we will follow up with you directly via email following the live broadcast. We'll also be recording this webinar, and that recording will be emailed to all of our registrants following today's live presentation. Before we jump into the presentation, I did want to make all of our attendees aware of two upcoming webinars on the DRI calendar. About 2 weeks from today, on Wednesday, June 26th, we'll be hosting a webinar to highlight the latest OCR functionality of DRI's Decision 365 platform. This new functionality utilizes optical character recognition, or as you may know it, OCR, to automate your order to cash and vendor invoice processes in CloudSuite Industrial. And then on Thursday, July 18th, we'll be hosting a Zonal Pay webinar. Zonal Pay is a new CSI payment processing solution. This is also powered by the Decision 365 platform, and Zonal Pay allows CSI users to accelerate payment submissions, reduce payment acceptance costs, enhance security, ensure accurate record validation, and more. You can learn more about both of those sessions and register at decision.com/events. And always keep an eye out for your emails because we'll be scheduling several webinars throughout the summer of 2024. So looking forward to those. So with that, I will go ahead and introduce our presenter today. Tim McManus, the Director of ERP Products at DRI, has over 35 years of experience with Sightline and CloudSuite Industrial. In his role as Director of ERP Products, Tim provides vision and functional application oversight for DRI's suite of products, including today's session, SureShip, and focuses on customer value delivery. Prior to its acquisition by DRI last year, Tim served as the President and CEO of AIT Business Services for over 30 years. Tim, I think it's time for you to take it away. We're all ready to see some SureShip in action.
Thank you very much, Emily. And thanks everyone for making time here. Let's kind of get right into why we're here. SureShip, what is it? Where'd it come from? As Emily said, we have 30 plus years experience working with CloudSuite, CSI, and every name and iteration it has been before that. So we've had a lot of experience with this. We've done hundreds of implementations. We're always asked to do some sort of, modification or personalization on connecting to carriers. And we decided one day, let's go ahead and do something that's repeatable and installable, and that's where SureShip came. And it really started with the API integration, but shipping and fulfillment is a lot more than that. It's upstream, it's downstream. So in terms of, what do I need to ship? How many, do I have it available? Do I want to rate shop? How do I charge customer freight? All that sort of stuff. We've built that out over the past few years. And what we're going to do is kind of get into that. The other thing about SureShip, it is the only shipping application for designed specifically for CloudSuite, but also written in Mongoose, written in the application of Sightline. So it's not an integration with it. We're looking at the actual tables. We're doing the actual transactions in the application. It also looks and feels just like everything else in CloudSuite or Sightline, so you don't have to train people in different UIs and things like that. Why do it? We've got quite a few customers now, and we have found that we have been very, very impactful in just their whole fulfillment process. knowing what to pick, the whole picking process, particularly if something goes wrong and how to fix it. Being able to go from a smaller operation and scale up. Customers, our customers like it because they now get information about what shipped, and they can get that stuff electronically, their documentation, things like that. And being able to see what I'm paying in freight, what I'm charging customers has provided some value in thinking in terms of, hey, maybe I can actually stop losing money there, maybe even mark things up a little bit. We have a number of customers from small customers to, some of these customers are billion-dollar customers with 3, 4, 5 sites and locations around the world, doing everything from shipping little boxes of widgets to trucks, LTL, things like that. Holly is one of them. They do auto parts. You may recognize that logo. We worked with them. Pretty decent volume, 2,000 to 3,000 orders a day, up to 8,000 lines. And we went in to replace their existing shipping application for an organization that had 12 different shipping lanes. They were running Saturday shifts. And within a couple of weeks of going live, they actually were able to permanently eliminate the Saturday shift. So in terms of being able to streamline things, this is a nice example, but we're seeing this with many of our customers. Again, what we're doing is, what we're doing here is a single place where you can get in, you can do your packing, throw things on the scales, your labels are connected. In terms of carriers, we have a number of carriers that, over 100 carriers at parcel, both domestically and internationally originating, a lot of freight and LTL carriers that we're directly connected to. And we've also been working with 3PLs like C.H. Robinson, Worldwide Express, in order to allow you with, say, for instance, Worldwide Express, you have tens of thousands of carriers available through that. One of the things that we did here that I think most of our customers are using and really like is we have an alternative to the standard sightline pick, pack, and ship that really addresses a lot of what we have found prevents customers from using it. Flexibility, compatibility with changing processes and things like that. So if you are, if you're doing everything, or you're printing a pick list, you want to go out through the shop floor with handhelds and do that picking. Maybe you're actually staging orders, multiple staging points or things like that to the packing station and shipping. You can do that. If you're not doing staging, you can do that. Maybe you don't have the handhelds out there. You're just doing pick lists and going straight to the packing station. Or we were just talking to a customer that does a lot of samples. They just they scan in orders and they pack right there from the sample bench. The other thing is, if you're just going to do a shipment, maybe PO return or an outside process, or customer wants t-shirts or mugs or things like that, we can do that. So whatever it is in your organization in terms of complexity or simplicity, we can not only accommodate that for the company, but also individual customers or business units may do something different. And that's it for the PowerPoint. We're going to actually go into the application now. And what we said we're going to cover on this webinar was we're going to drill into a few things here for, say, our documentation, some of our sorry, just got muted. Documentation, some of our, flexibility that we're just talking about with, changing conditions and maybe I want to do a piece of the process or all of it. That whole thing with freight billing, markup, how do I manage that? And just some other productivity things here. So I'll get into those. What I'm going to do first is just get in and do a quick shipment. And this is a case where I basically just have parts that I want to ship to a customer, and I want to do it quickly. We're not connecting to say ODBC, World Ship or anything. This is directly with a carrier. But in this case, maybe I have a order that I want to fulfill. Customer order. And I'll just scan that in. It's just a single part. I'm going to go ahead and create a shipment for that. That shipment is in the background. I've created a bill of lading. This part I actually have set up so that it's already, I know what package it needs. So I don't even need to do that part. I'm just going to add that item. That's going to add that package with a quantity of 1 in it. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and print the shipping label on that. This is going out directly to the carrier. Again, no World Ship. It's going out there using, in this case, my account number, generating the transaction on UPS. So if I go out there and look at it, it's going to say label printed, waiting for pickup. Assign my tracking number here. At this point, all I need to do is go ahead and print and ship this. So my documents, and I'll talk a little bit more about these in a bit, but I can print those documents and ship that. So that's about how long it took to, ship an entire order. And if there were multiple parts in there, like I said, with the auto pack stuff, we can streamline that a little bit as well. Let's talk about the documents just a little bit. In terms of our documentation with the excuse me, I'm having a microphone problem here. As soon as our documentation is set up, we have it designed so that when you print an order or a shipment, all of these will print instead of having to go to, I'll go ahead and print the pick list. Now go to the form and print the bill of lading. We've got it all set up here so that with one button, you can print all these documents. We can print multiple copies of these. If you want the notes options here, you can have those set up. If you actually wanted to add different notes in here or look at different notes from customer service, sometimes they'll still do that. You've got the ability to do that. And those documents will be defaulted for every shipment, so I can decide which ones I want, but also on a customer by customer basis, you can have a different version of, say, a packing slip. Maybe you're shipping to Costco or something and they want a different version of that. You can do that just depending on what the customer is. All shipping has to do is just press that one button. They don't need to do anything like that. They don't need to worry about anything. Let's take a quick look at some of our documents here. If you're doing international documents, this, you can see we've got here the HTS numbers that automatically populates with the documentation. We do customs invoice, pro forma, shipper's letter of instruction. If you've got a broker or third party 3PL shipment, you can do that as well. The packing slips that show up have the tracking numbers on them, and those will actually get emailed to the customer as soon as you print this. The other thing is, I can go ahead and ship this order now. Another thing I can do is maybe what I want to do is just stage those orders up and say, let's wait for the UPS truck to show up. So the UPS truck comes. Here are all the orders that I've set up just to the point that you saw that. I've printed the labels, are ready to go. I'm going to select them. They all get on the truck, but maybe this one and this one didn't get on the truck. And I'll go ahead and process that. That will do all the shipping transactions for all those orders. So you've got a choice whether or not you want to ship things one at a time or at the end of the day or periodically, maybe a couple times during the day. Let's talk a little bit about the picking. So pick, pack, and ship, we mentioned that. We like some of the things that it does. Some of the restrictions there, it only does it for custom orders. We've allowed the ability to do this for custom orders, transfer orders, and service orders if you're using those, both line and material. And otherwise, this kind of looks like the pick workbench here. It shows me the outstanding items that I have, how many I have in inventory and that sort of stuff. We have customers that have 300 lines on an order, and this gets a little bit unwieldy that way. So we've created something very similar, our order pick console. And instead of line by line, this is looking at an order by order basis. So I get to see all of my orders kind of condensed. I do get line item information here. I can see my total lines, how many are ready, things like that. If I wanted to actually go in and look at my, my detail of what's on that order, if I wanted to see the inventory, maybe it's in different locations. And this is basically saying, okay, here's everything that's outstanding. If I wanted to filter it by a due date, let's say, what do I need to ship this week? I can do that. The other thing that you can do is you can filter it by customer, by ship via if I want to group my UPS orders, or location, state if I wanted to do it. I also might have customer orders, like multiple orders that I do want to go to the same place. And if that's the case, we can go ahead and consolidate these. So I'm going to say, let's consolidate these orders. And what that's going to do is that's going to look out at all these different orders and say, what orders are going to the same place in the same ship via on the same due date. And what that's going to do is that'll combine them so I can ship them on a single shipment. Maybe I want to be a little more lax on that and say, because I've already filtered my due dates that I want to ship here, I'll say ignore the due date, right? And when I assign the group here, or when I go ahead and consolidate, you can see the shipping group here, different numbers. That's basically a unique shipment or packing slip. But I'm going to go ahead and assign groups and consolidate them. And that's going to go through and say, which ones can I put together? Now here you can see a lot of these are now grouped the same. So I can go ahead and select those to be picked. Again, if I wanted to look at my inventory here on it, if you're doing lot or serial tracking, you actually have the ability here, if you wanted to assign those serial numbers or lot numbers when I do this. You can do it downstream or upstream as well on that. But I'll go ahead and print these orders. Maybe I'm printing, not just orders in a single place, but I've got maybe 50, 20, 50 or 100 orders. A lot of those are going to have the same parts. So instead of going through, to the shelf for this order and going back to that same shelf for that order, I can create a bulk pick list. And that bulk pick list is going to take all of the parts on all the orders I selected and then sort it by part number, sort it by location, so that I can have an orderly pick through the warehouse. At that point, I'll generate my pick list. And that is going to, in this particular case, it's going to create a single pick list for both those orders. Here you can see my orders. Here's my pick list 307. There's my bulk pick list. That's what that's going to look like. And at this point, again, if I wanted to use a handheld scanner, I can do it. Or if I just wanted to go back to, my pack console here, and instead of customer order, I'm just going to type a pick list number in. I'll scan that in. Here are the parts that I selected. I'll go ahead and create that shipment. And we talked about that auto pack functionality. That previous order had one part, one box. I've got this set up that one piece fits in a box. So I've got a quantity of 4 here. I can go ahead and just add that. It's going to add the 4 boxes. There's another one. You can do that. And then if I wanted to maybe just throw everything else in that box or add another box, I can say, add the rest of the items in there and start packing that. As that's packing it, you can see the weight's increasing. That's coming from both the tear weight of the package as well as the item weight, which if you've got all that set up, that's awesome. If you don't, you just put that package on a scale, hit get weight. If your scale is maybe not connected, you can go ahead and just type the weight in there manually. If you're doing any palletization, we can say, let's load a pallet here. Well, and I'm going to select the pallet, and let's just say all of these things can fit on one pallet. I'll go ahead and load that. And then these other 2 will go on a different pallet because they're a little bit bigger. And I'll go ahead and load that pallet. At this point, if I wanted to do rate shopping at this point, I could go ahead and do that rate shopping. Let's get some weight on this. At this point, the rate shopping I can do is, a specific carrier like UPS or FedEx, or if it is maybe I just want to look at all my parcels, I can do that. Or maybe I want to look at all my freight carriers, or maybe I don't know which way it should go. It could be a shipment that is better off being parcel than a freight shipment. And this will go out, shop everything for you. It's going to use your rates that you've got contracted with whatever carrier you've got. If you are using the customer's shipping account, you can actually set that up as a default when the customer order gets created. That propagates through here. It also will allow you to change it here at shipment. That's obviously going to be a permissions-based thing if you let people do that. Once I've gone ahead and done the, let's say, done the tracking number on this, let's take a look at the bill of lading here for this. And bill of lading is just collecting in the background all my information, where it's going to, things like that. If you're using freight forwarders, third parties, it'll do that. The packages here that I have built, in this particular case, it was a simple box with a part in it. If you do lot or serial track, you can get that level of detail down here. So I have, the exact part number, tracking number assigned to this box with, that serial number in it. Another thing that happens when I do the shipment is it's going to assign freight charges. So this freight charge, $52, this is what I paid. It's not necessarily what I might want to charge the customer. So talk a little bit about our freight billing rules here. I'm going to pop out to the customer order. And I am going to take a look at my billing side. And in this case, I'm going to, this is a order where I'm going to prepay and add it, which means the freight's going to get charged when I do this invoice here. What do I want to prepay and add is based on this rule here. And this rule, I've got a 10% cost rule, but you can have multiple rules that are set up here, and that could be either by, for a specific customer, for a range of customers or customer types or end user types. And once you've got that identified, you set up what's the basis of my freight. So is it on the freight cost itself, which is my negotiated rate? Is it on the published rate? A lot of customers will charge their customer published rate and they pay the negotiated rate, so they pick up a little bit that way. Or maybe I want to do a markup here of my negotiated rate, so it could be $1 or a percent. In this case, it's 10%. So every time I create that order, that rule comes over from the customer, and that 10% cost will get added to the freight amount here. So there's my $52 plus my 10%. And if for some reason I'm quoting this ahead of time here, I do have the ability to say, you know what, I've quoted freight on this thing. I'm going to go ahead and lock that freight. So it might be a case where I've got, let's do a little rate shopping here. Just going to give it a package. And we'll go out and say, okay, how much is this going to be? I'll go and get my rates. Again, this is the same. It could be for a specific carrier. I could say just all parcel. Maybe USPS is going to be the winner on this shipment, but it's going to come back, get my rates, and when it does do that, I get to select which one I want here, right? And when I select that, that's actually going to update both the ship fee, as well as it's going to populate the order shipment freight amount there. So in that case, it's prior to me shipping it. But if I did that and I quoted it and did my markup, I didn't want it to change. All I have to do is lock that freight, and then when the shipment happens, maybe I have to ship it overnight because we were at fault and we're late and we need to ship it. I don't want that overnight charge to go back to the customer plus 10%. So I've already quoted that to them. If the customer is using their own account, you can basically take what multiple accounts for a customer. Now, standard Sightline gives you one shipping account per customer shipped to. So if you've got customers that have multiple accounts, you either have to add additional ship tos or use notes or something like that. And what we've been able to do is create a provision so that different customers can have as many freight accounts as they want. They'll set one up that's a default that goes out there. So when I create that order, it'll default to that freight account, and that will charge their freight. If I'm doing maybe international orders and I still want to do that prepay and add, I can do that, but I also can use the customer's freight account for the export charges. So I have the ability to split that. Another thing that we can do here is in terms of, I mentioned customer order tracking. If I go to that order, I can see the tracking number, but maybe a customer calls and they don't know, all they have is a tracking number. They don't know what order it was or anything. I can go out here through my data search, and let's just say I'll look at my shipping things. I'll put that tracking number in. That's going to go out and say, okay, here are all the places where that tracking number showed up. There's my bill of lading. Here's my customer order. So customer service can go out here and go to that order, look at the tracking there, And at this point, sorry about that. At this point, if they wanted to go look at that bill of lading and actually see the details of that, you know, what I showed with the packages and things like that, they'd be able to do that. So once a shipment happens, it's very easy to kind of get to that information from a lot of different places. All right, I want to talk a little bit about when things don't go as planned. So let's say I'm going to create an order here, or a shipment with multiple orders, and I'm starting to pick it, and maybe I can't find all the parts, or maybe the customer wants to cancel a line item or something like that. If that's the case, we can go out to look at that order and say, scan that in. There's my pick list. All right, so I haven't even created a shipment yet for this. There's my pick list. It's already in process. I'm supposed to pick, you know, 4 or 9 of these. Maybe the customer only wants 2, or maybe that 4th one is damaged and I can only ship 3. So I can go ahead and change that here. I can change that quantity, or maybe I can't find that item at all. I can go ahead and unpick that. Maybe just get that off the pick list, or possibly when a customer enters or puts an order in like by 3 p.m. or something, you can go ahead and down here, I can say, let's merge those 2 together. All right, so I can go ahead and now this order has, you know, a lot more parts on it. 307, that's got more parts on it. I've merged those orders together. So you have got the ability to add, update, delete, whether or not it's just in picked status, or if I had actually started to create the bill of lading and do that packing, I can do that here as well. The other thing in terms of things that can change, maybe I misweighed this box, right? I've done this shipment and it's actually 4 pounds, and I've got a tracking number for 1.5 pounds, right? I might want to just go ahead and void that, right? Change my weight and redo that shipping label, or maybe customer canceled this entire thing in general. So I could go ahead and undo this, and when I do this, it's basically going to take that order, take the bill of lading, get rid of it, unpack it, and actually put it back to where it was not even picked yet. So the next time I go to the pick list, it'll show up as something that needs to be picked. I want to talk a little bit about this auto packing here, this feature where we can kind of predict some boxes. And I put an order in here. I believe, yeah, I did put an order in here. Let's take a look at this guy. Let's print a pick list for this. Here's my pick list. It'll be 308. Let's go to ship that 308 from the pick list here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and create the shipment. And as you can see down here, I've got my parts and I've got that self-contained item. I want to look at that a little more closely, because what I had been doing with this item is, you know, 1 per box, 1 per box. Here I've got a quantity of 8. Well, do I want 8 boxes? We're going to go out and take a look at that item. to where I've got that set up for auto packing, here you can say, is it self-contained? Is it an auto pack? And what are the rules? So if I have one quantity, it's going to fit into this package, right? But maybe I had 6, and a 6-pack fits in a different box. So you can set that up as well. So when I go back to that order there, and I auto pack this is a quantity of 8. So basically I've got 1 6-pack and 2 1s. If I go ahead and add this is actually going to auto box that for, a pack of 6 and then 2 individual ones. So if you've got some things that you manufacture, you put on the shelf, and you don't really rebox them, and at this point, all I'm doing is printing a shipping label on that, you can do a lot to kind of set that up in advance. I'm going to, at this point, I want to show something that we're working on, and just for the recording's sake and everything, just disclaimer, this is not in our live product yet. We haven't released this to GA, but this is something that is coming. Here's my order pick console again. And as I'm going to create some pick lists here, maybe what I want to do is, hold on a second. Maybe what I want to do is try to create a truckload full of things here. And what do I care about truckload? Well, capacity, either it's weight or dimensions and things like that. So as I go to start selecting things, you can see my weight here is increasing. My cubes are increasing, or should be. There we go. Cubes are increasing. So that's a pretty cursory way to look at it, but there's some other things we are doing with this, where I might want to say, let's go ahead and find I've got a 20-foot truck, all right? And I'm going to create a load on this thing. Depending on how this will fit together in my capacity, I can auto build this load to say, okay, based on all these orders going to the same place, or on the same truck, what can I fulfill, and how much can I put on a 20-foot truck? And maybe it's based on weight, maybe it's based on dimensions, but I go ahead and I can build that load there. Take a look at that. And that load can have a number of different items on it, and at this point you would be able to do things like scan things onto the truck. From a transportation point of view, my delivery requests, things like that, different sort of events that happen with shipping. And the other thing is being able to say, okay, I've got this bunch of parts in this truck. How do I actually pack it? And this actually is where that this goes beyond just the weights and dims. It says, okay, all these parts that I have, they can fit in this box. All these boxes can fit on some pallets, and these pallets can fit on the truck. And with this, and this is, again, this and the load management are things that we are building out right now. But once we have this in there, you would be able to go out and say, okay, tell me what I can put in a 20-foot truck. Or, even more simply, if you're doing parcels, right? I got these 3 parts. What's the best package to use for it? We have a company that we were working with that actually was showing us what they were doing with this, and they said literally they saved $1 million a year in cardboard just because they can optimize their packaging on it. The other thing I can do here, once I know the packaging, is I can give instructions to the people how to pack it, including with visual aids for that. The other thing I can do is I can actually get accurate rate shopping now. So, you know, in order entry, I know, well, today I don't know necessarily, you know, I got these 20 parts. I don't know how they're going to get packed, but if you can predict that, then you can actually get rate shopping that's accurate. So that's something that we're looking to have by the end of the year here. We're in process. By the time we get it done and through QC, it'll be a while longer, but that is definitely coming. One last quick thing, and literally quick ship. If I'm doing a shipment, maybe it's not from a transporter or a customer, it's just I'm sending out mugs and T-shirts to a customer maybe. Our quick ship allows you to just create a shipment here, and you can, you know, plug in a miscellaneous address if you want, or you can use the address book from you know, the customer master or the vendor master, or from an existing order or purchase order here. And all I really need to do up here is go ahead and, you know, put it back, a box in, put it on the scale, hit get weight, print my label, and I'm done. The difference with this is not going to do any material transactions. It's really just kind of a reference only relationship to these documents. But a lot of companies, if they're, you know, for samples or sending, you know, customer gifts at year end or things like this, this has been pretty useful. This does have the same documentation available here as the main console. If you did choose to put item information down here, like if it was going internationally, you could still do this and put the HTS codes and value and things like that as well. So that is another option to do shipping as well. Leslie, have we had any questions come in? I think we've kind of covered what we wanted to.
Yeah, so we have one question is there a plan or a way to use a mobile scanner to pick instead of paper?
Yes, there is. In fact, we already have that wired into Factory Track for the pick confirmation. So if you're using Warehouse Mobility, you can do that. We also have, there's another company out there, New Tech, that does scanning. They've got a number of Sightline customers they work with for mobile scanning things, and we've done a couple of things with them as well.
And then another question, which Sightline versions does SureShip run on?
8.3.11, I believe, up until most current version 10, both on-prem and in the cloud.
Then can you ship, does SureShip do commercial invoices for international shipping?
We do, absolutely. In fact, this is a commercial invoice here.
Next to it, that's the Korea one. Oh yeah, that's customs.
Customs invoice.
Pro forma.
Yeah. Pro forma invoice and the USMCA as well. But we have a number of customers doing international work, and that carries over all of your HTS numbers and NCMF codes and things like that.
Okay. This one I haven't heard of before, but it's, do you support UPS Capital for package insurance? Is that a service? I guess is that a service for UPS? We do have a lot of their services available through the API. Unless it's a sort of a separate service.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of.
I have not heard of that. But I'm guessing it probably could be, because it's, I mean, if it is affiliated with UPS, probably.
Okay.
That might be one that we
Yeah,
just
we
have
can
to follow up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often are you updating or syncing data for Sightline?
Never, because we don't need to. Basically, we are, as I mentioned, because we are in this application, in Sightline, when I'm looking at excuse me, I'm gonna have a dog bark problem here in a second. When I'm looking at inventory, when I'm actually doing the transactions, that's all happening in real time.
Great. And then I have a question. How long does it take to implement? And I can answer that question. If you want to go really fast and you're really focused on this project, we can do it in about 2 months. I would say our average implementation is about 3 months. I think that's it for questions. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it back. Oh, here we go. One more question.
One more. Yep.
You're using licenses or modules. So your existing, the user that logs in, they're just using their existing license that when they log into Sightline. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Emily.
All right, that does appear to be all of our questions. We did have that UPS, capital question. We will follow up with you one-on-one after the session. We do have your email, so we'll check in with you after the session, but that does appear to be all of our questions for today. Before we sign off, I just wanted to remind everyone that we have 2 webinars scheduled. One for Decision OCR, which is in about 2 weeks from today on June 26th, and then we have another session for zonal pay scheduled on July 19th. As always, you can see all of our sessions and register on decision.com/events. A big shout out to Tim and Leslie for giving us their time today to show us SureShip. Thank you to all of our attendees, and I hope you all have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.